Alright, welcome back to the SuperCoach Enough channel. In this video we're going to look at our tops, chops, traps and slaps for SuperCoach in round 16 of the 2024 season. So for those that are new to the channel or new to the concept, how it works is we look at the trade in and trade out options that are sort of becoming quite common this week, and if we like the trade in options we give them the tops, the thumbs up. If we think the trade out option is a good idea, well, we're going to give them the chop. If we see a trading option that we don't think is a great idea, it's probably a trap. And if we see a trade out option that we think people should hold on to, well, we need to give them a slap. So as usual, we'll start at the hooker position. And the tops pick this week, not for the first time this year, potentially for the last time, but he might circle back around in weeks 19-20 rather. Jeremy Marshall-King from the Dolphins. So not the most popular trading option this week at the time of recording. Api Coruscant, Damien Cook were higher up on the list, and I think they are both great viable options. They cover plenty of the buys. Api Coruscant, covering every week up to and through round 20. Damien Cook only has a buy around 17. Jeremy Marshall-King has a buy around 18. But the Dolphins are the only team on that buy that week. So I think it's slightly easier to cover for him that week. Didn't mean to bump that. Slightly easier to cover for Jeremy Marshall-King in that week. He offers, the minutes, the upside, his attacking potential is there. And with Coruscant and Cook, they do have options coming off the bench and that sort of thing. Damien Cook's a little bit more expensive as well due to his reversal in form. So don't hate any of the options, but I think Marshall-King offers the right balance of price, upside, draw availability, that sort of thing. On the chopping block, I've gone with Jaden Brayley. So one you could hold, given that he does cover the rest of the buys after this week. But he's been come off the bench recently, so his value was in starting and playing 60, 70 minutes, and Phoenix Crossland coming on and playing as that second middle forward, whereas really those roles have reversed. So I think if you've stuck with Brayley, it's just the roles changed, so he has to go. The trap this week, I've gone with Carl Lawton, so named to start in the 7 jersey. For Manly, they are missing a few through Origin, a few more through injury this week. So it's an interesting lineup they've gone with. And, I guess they were relying on Jake Arthur to fill that spot. However, he's injured currently. So they've got Lawton in as a bit of a stopgap type measure. His utility value sort of means that he is always going to, have different roles and that sort of thing. So, the price is nice, the break-even's nice, the draw is good in the sense that he only has a buy in round 17 as well. But I just think, there's better options to take up one of your hooker spots. I've already rattled off 3 previously, so I'd try and find the money to go up rather than going down at this point. And Brendan Hands I've got as a slap, although full transparency, I am trading him this week to Jeremy Marshall-King. But I think you can hold him, even if Lussick is coming off the bench. It looks like Hands is the preferred option of Trent Barrett. At 9, playing the big minutes, his break-even's still good. The Eels will cover around 17 and 19, which is pretty handy. So as long as you got covered this week, I think you can hold at Brendan Hands if you would like to. In the front row, I've gone with Adam Fanua-Blake as the top pick. And I think really if you haven't got him or Payne Haas, obviously don't trade in Haas this week, but you need to get them in as soon as possible. They're clearing away the best 2 front rowers in the game, so I think any team that's serious is going to finish with them. third front row forward, you can be, a bit more flexible. I am leaning towards just one of the dual position options, like I've got Curran, obviously at the moment, or Finu from the Tigers. Ruben Cotter would fit that mould, although I usually don't like him post Origin just because a bit of fatigue starts to creep in. Um, so, I think unless you're looking at those sort of guys, I wouldn't muck around too much in the front row forwards. Um, on the chopping block this week, I've got Liam Henry. So obviously on the bye this week and round 19. And they're probably his two biggest opportunities for scoring points with the likes of Isaiah Yeo, Liam Martin out for Origin. So, he's done well. He's made us, I think, about 250K from memory, like a lot of money. And, he's done well. So I think if you've got one of those dual position guys in your second row forward, you can swing them up. If you've got the money to upgrade to a Fanua Blake or even a Payne Haas, you could do that. Obviously, don't do the Haas trade this week. Do it next week. But yeah, Liam Henry is good to go. The trap this week, I've gone with Stefano Uta from the Tigers. And it sort of relates to the comments I made before. Like, I think, as an option, he's solid. He's averaging about 50. He doesn't seem to be in the conversation for Origin, so he'll cover all the bye rounds. I just think, in the front row forwards, like I said, I think the tactic is Fanua Blake, Payne Haas, dual position option to cover, and then, the fourth option is probably just going to be a bottom dollar enough to free up some cash. So, I don't think it's worthwhile trading Uda Ikamanu in. Um, I'd rather at a slightly cheaper price to go for Fino if you're looking for the Tigers coverage. Um, or as I said, I think get the two big boys and let the use that money in other positions. And the slap this week, and this isn't a strong one. I'm probably thinking about trading him out as well this week, if I'm again full disclosure. But Sam Hughes, and it comes down to the fact there's not a lot of value in trading him out. He's only made about 100K across the season. He will play this week, which gives you a number. Does have the buy in round 19, so he's potentially one to flip then. But I can understand people trading him out, and as I said, I'm probably one of those people. So I didn't really have a strong shout for a slap this week, so I just thought I'll go with him. I should have probably just put Payne Haas in for people that think, oh, I'll get rid of him and try and get some points. That probably made more sense, but I've gone with that. We're recording, so that's what it is. Onto the second row, and the top trading option this week, I've gone with Dave Fafita. Um, I think I looked at the top three options going into recording was Eli Katoa, David Fafita, and Ruben Porter, the cheapie from the Tigers. And I think they're all great options. Um, but I guess Fafita does have that slight edge of the upside, plus the fact that he will play round 19 as well. So Eli Katoa will be on the bye in round 19. Um, Fafita does have a bye next week, so as long as you haven't got too many Rabbitohs or Sea Eagles as well, I think you've got to get Fafita this week. Some people might say break even 112, you can wait, but we're at the stage where we want points in our teams. I mean, Eli Katoa's got a highish break even. I guess if you're worried about money, then obviously you're looking at Ruben Porter, so downgrading in that sense. Uh, on the chopping block this week, Finny Fuiaki from the Cowboys. So he's done his job for us. He covered the first bye round. He sort of got moved back to the bench last week, which is going to be the case with Nanai and Lukey playing. Um, there might be a week where they bench Nanai and he gets a few more minutes to recover from Origin. But, we can take that bit of money we've got from him and use it elsewhere. Uh, the trap this week, I've gone with Ethan Bullimore. So, again, looks good on paper, cheap price, low break even, dual position. Paseka's out for a few weeks with the finger surgery, which is nice, but I think, if you look at it, he scored well last week, but that was off the back of a line break and a sort of above average number of tackle busts. So I think, he sort of profiles as a 40 average type player. So he will make a little bit of money. Obviously, we'll cover this week around 1920. But I think we can do better. That's all. So, yeah, it's going to seem like I'm picking on Manly a bit in this video, but I guess a lot of their options are coming up because of the injury toll plus the origin. Kai Pearce Paul, I've got as the slap. So missed last week, and a lot of people were thinking, oh well, that's 2 weeks in a row. He's out. He needs to go. But I think he might actually come back next week, and then he covers 17, 19, 20, which is going to be useful buy coverage. I did trade him last week, but that was a decision I made, knowing that would be the case. But I did need a 17th number last week. So it was between him and Fafita. They were both out. He had to go. But I think if you've got him and you can hold him this week where you only need 13 on the field, I would suggest holding. Onto the halves. The top pick this week, once again, Jerome Hughes. Killed it last week. There is an argument, him or Tyron Wishart. Very similar. Obviously, Wishart is cheaper, dual position, which is nice. But Jerome Hughes has that job security. Um, yeah, there is an argument, I suppose, if you don't have a Dylan Brown or Matt Burton to trade them into the halfback spots because a few weeks' time we're going to want to put Hines, Cleary back in those spots. Um, on the chopping block this week, Mitchell Moses. So got the New South Wales gig over Hines. I think he was the preferred candidate going into game one. It's just he wasn't proven to be match fit, and they didn't want to take that risk. So I think that was the plan all along, unfortunately for Nicho Hines. Um, but yeah, I guess for that reason, with Moses, he misses this week. He'll miss round 19 and then also round 20. So I think, it's worthwhile trading out. As you can see, it doesn't cost much to go to Jerome Hughes. If you're looking for that upside, if you need to go down, again, Tyron Wishart is a good option. The trap, again, another Manly player, but Luke Brooks. So you'd assume he'll be the dominant half given DCE's out and he's partnering with Carl Lawton. So even though Lawton's got the 7 on his back, I think you can flip the numbers in terms of their actual roles in the team. But, you know, again, it's one of those things you trade him in. You're probably going to want to trade him out, even if it's, for another 5/8 option eventually. So I don't think he's a season long keeper. And I think part of the conversation around, the trades this week is you do have to have one eye on what your final team is going to look like. Because we are all running out of trades. There's not an infinite number of trades. And, there's going to be quite a few guys post Origin that we're all going to want to get on. So I think for that reason, you've got to be, a bit tactical in that sense, looking at, um, who's going to come in. And Luke Brooks is not going to be in that final conversation. And the slap this week is Nicho Hines, obviously on the buy, massive break even. But as I just said, we're running out of trades. He's going to be available in round 19, you'd assume, given Moses has got the spot at 7, unless there's a rush of injuries again. So I think, he's worth holding. He will score well, even if, he's not going to score 213 next week. So he will lose some value, and if you sold, that's good news. But if you've got him still, I think you just ride it out. At 5/8, we've got Jaden Campbell as the top pick, and I've got Cody Walker there as the slap as well. But I don't really hate either of them. Both, got good availability as long as you can cover their absence next week. I think just Jaden Campbell's a bit cheaper, so offers a bit more value, which I think is going to be important for the run home. Tommy Dearden on the chopping block, obviously playing Origin, but was going to be on the bye anyway. There's players that are going to be more available. You imagine he might rest at some point too after an Origin, so I think he's one that we can easily get rid of. And the slap is Lockie Galvin, obviously named to play. I think, given the contract issues, they're going to try to get him in as much as they can. Um, I think the plan in the coming weeks is they'll put Adam Dewey at 7, in that partnership. And then I guess next year they'll move Dewey to the centres or something like that. They'll work it out. Centre wing. So the top pick this week, I went with Ewan Aitken. He's probably just in that tier below the keeper type options. So I guess if you haven't got a Jermaine Asako, for example, you could bring him in. Um, you know, Trying to think of the other one. Jacob Kiraz is another one I've got this week. So yeah, this might be a bit more of me trying to talk myself into it. Um, I might have actually talked myself out of it. Again, that's something for the preview tomorrow. But yeah, Ewan Aitken, he offers that sort of solid base, what you're going to get from him. He does love, to go himself and try and score a try, which as a super coach owner, we love that sort of ball hog mentality. But just gets through the work being on the edge as well, which is nice. On the chopping block, Blaze Talangi, he's peaked in price, 600k. So if you've had him from the start, that's 400k profit, which is pretty nice. But it doesn't play this week. Won't play around 20. Seems to be just a bit of a jack of all trades in the sense they'll put him wherever, which could mean he ends up back in that bench utility role. So I think he's one you can trade out this week. Failungo from the Storm I've got as the trap, and mostly just due to the fact Ryan Pappenhausen's back. He is on the wing this week, replacing Xavier Coates. Um, you'd imagine maybe next week when Coates comes back in that he takes Grant Anderson's spot in the centres. Um, so I think if you've got him, you hold him. It's not to say you have to trade him out. I just don't think there's the value in bringing him in. Um, and the slap this week, Ruben Garrick. So a lot of people, obviously upset he got HIA'd last week. He misses this week with concussion protocol. Doesn't play around 17, high break even. So there is that temptation to sell him and bring him back in. But again, a lot of us don't have enough trades to pull off that sort of manoeuvre. So hold Ruben Garrick. He is a season-long keeper. Just, again, another unfortunate concussion issue. And on to the fullbacks. So James Tedesco is the most popular option. I've got him as a tops pick. I think if you're a bit more budget conscious, Ryan Pappenhausen is a great option. They have similar buy coverage, as in they don't play around 19, but play the rest of the season. But yeah, if you can afford Teddy, bring him in. Scotty Drinkwater on the chopping block, won't play 16 or 19, highest break even. But I think, if you can go from him to Tedesco, that's great. You can make a little bit of money going down to Pappenhausen. So I think, if you've got him, you can trade him out. I've got Hopewadi, the Manly fullback, as the trap this week. I think if you wanted to get on, last week was the week. He's already made an extra 120k. If you want a cheap fullback, I would wait for next week and get Fletcher Sharp from the Knights. He'll do a similar amount and will cost you 125k less. And obviously, Hopewadi will miss next week. So, I guess the play was to bring him in last week, take the 2 week price rises, flip to Sharp, take his price rises, and then obviously, use all that money to upgrade your second fullback. And the slap this week, I've gone with Dylan Edwards, so it might seem a little bit hypocritical given, he profiles similar to Drinkwater, except, has an extra 200k on his head. I guess the difference is that if you want to bring him in, you might have to find that extra 200k. So that makes it a bit harder. So for that reason, I'd suggest holding Dylan Edwards. But that wraps up our tops, chops, traps, and slaps for this week. Obviously, if you've got any questions, comments, thoughts, feel free to add them below this video. Give us a like if you enjoy this sort of analysis. Subscribe for all the fantasy sports content. And other than that, we'll catch you in the next one.